Hello, welcome back out into the shop. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. It turned a little cool here in North Carolina, so we got another fire going. Trying to get things ready. My brother's coming over tomorrow, so we're gonna take off some of the heavy stuff tomorrow, so I'm trying to get a lot of this little stuff done if I can. I went and got the bench grinder out of storage. I don't have a permanent place to it, but my metal table here has spots in it that's drilled and tapped. So I just have to slide it into place, bolt it down, and we're good to go. And it's plenty rigid. I keep all my wire wheels in a tub, so I can just pick out what I need. It's labeled and it goes into storage too. That way they just don't sit around, you know, rusting on the grinder or the bench grinder. And I know where everything's at. All the nuts and bolts and spacers and washers and adapters, they all go in that tub. That way you're never hunting around for stuff. Anybody who has a home shop knows that you spend probably, if you're not organized, you spend half your time looking for stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bolt my bench grinder down, find me a suitable wire wheel. I don't know if I'm going to go with a steel or a brass. You know, the Purple Power did such a good job cleaning everything up. A little brass wheel might be enough. So I got a 1-inch wide one and a little, probably 1/2-inch wide one, 1/4-inch wide one. Might get into the nooks and crannies a little better, and we're gonna buff on this stuff. And some of the parts where the castings are pretty, I'm not gonna say rough, but you know, they're just not as pretty. I don't know if I may file some of it down to smooth it up, and it's just for aesthetics. It's nothing else other than that. You know, paint's gonna stick to whatever, you know, we put on there. So I'm afraid that if I start filing one thing, I'm gonna end up wanting to file in deeper a bunch of stuff, and it's going to take me a year to get this thing back together instead of, you know, a month or two. So I need to figure out exactly up here where the tool post mounts. You know, I think I'm going to leave it plain. I don't believe I'm going to paint that, but I might go look at some other videos and see what they did. I don't want to say it's machined per se. It's a little machined, but I mean, it's pretty rough up here, and it's going to get dinged up a lot. But I know all these other machined surfaces, I probably just clean them up, maybe run an India stone across it, run a flat file, something across it just to clean it up, and then tape everything off, and we're going to paint it. We're not going to wait around and get it done. That way, when my bearings get here, I found some places on the internet yesterday. Of course, it was Christmas, so I'm not sure if it's exactly the right thing. So I want to make a phone call first, and I'm going to go visit my local supplier. Of course, I always like to, you know, buy locally if you can. Sometimes their prices are just don't benefit yourself if you can get the same thing online. But I would still rather try to patronize my local, you know, businesses. I mean, they're what makes us, you know, the small businesses and stuff like that, who we are. So, you know, if you can't help them out, you know. But I'll do that. I'll get the bearings, and we'll get everything started, put back together. I mean, it looks really, really good. I'm thoroughly impressed. I did a little bit of wire wheeling just with a hand drill, and it looks very good too. So I'm gonna put some gloves on, try to keep the oil out of it from my hands, which, you know, as dry as they are, it's not gonna hurt anything, I don't think. But we're gonna go ahead and start wire brushing some of this stuff. So let me get this bolted down. Probably gonna stick the small one on there for now. We'll see what happens, and we'll be good to go. I'll bring you back. All right, we've got the bench grinder mounted on the side of the table. I prefer it this way because I can move this corner pretty good. And some of these pieces are pretty big, so it gives me room to maneuver them. So let me grab my glasses right quick. All right, turn that sucker on. I decided to go ahead and put the wide wheel on it, just because. And then we're gonna start working on this piece. And you know, there's not a lot of action in this, so we're just going to see how good it cleans up. A wide wheel puts, you know, a little more pressure on the motor, so we're just going to work it back and forth and clean it up. See how it does. Doing really good, matter of fact. Probably the wind noise got my microphone all jacked up where you can't understand anything, but That's why I said I'll show you a little bit of it, and then it's probably going to be a lot of off-camera stuff. Let's turn that off. This piece didn't look too bad after it came out of the purple power, so you know, it looks pretty good now though. Jeez. There's a little bit more right in there. But man, that looks very, very good. Man, the more I look at that purple power stuff, I wish I'd have known about that years ago. It works really, really good. You can see where I reckon they did at the factory, some factory deburring and stuff at the casting around the oil port and the, I think that's one of the adjustment screws for the nut on the compound. So it looks good. So we're going to continue on. I'll get most of all these compound pieces done, and we'll bring you back. Let me see if I can find maybe a really dirty piece to show how good it does. Well, shoot, everything looks pretty good. There's a before. There's a before. You know, it looks pretty good. I have a wore out back for this is over with. This stuff's heavy. Might have to do a lot of that taper attachment with a hand, with the grinder on the hand or the wire wheel on the grinder. This is the bottom of the compound that's got the scale on it. So clean this up and I'll let you have a look at it. Looks pretty good. Oh man, look at there. I don't know how good you can see that on camera, but that looks pretty daggone good. That didn't take long at all. So we'll get all that done. It's a shame somebody ran into it right there. But you can see 30 pretty good, 25, and, you know, you can see all these numbers really, really good. I tell you what, let me get in here close. See if I can get this camera to focus. There you go. It does really, really good. Really impressed. So let me continue on, and then I'll bring you back when I got it all done, I reckon. Whew, heavy. All right, we're back. That didn't take that long, maybe an hour. I switched out from the brass 8-inch to a steel 6-inch. Just to, the bigger stuff tend to bog down the bench grinder, so I switched to a smaller wheel to give me a little more torque, and it did a good job. All the stuff came out just like I wanted to. All the machine surfaces are nice and smooth. All the castings, I believe I'm just going to leave. After looking at it and thinking about it, you know, I plan on using the machine, so, you know, it's going to get dinged up, and the prettier I make it, I might be afraid to use it. So I think we're good to go. What I'm going to do next is lay the pieces together and see what the machine surfaces are, mark the part that I need to tape, and I'm going to tape them off, and then I'm going to paint them, and they'll be ready to go. I'm going to get you a close-up of some of these other pieces because, man, they turned out really, really, really good. It's amazing. A little clean time at a buffing wheel, and it looks pretty good. So I'll bring you in a little closer, and then I'll show you what this stuff looks like. All right, so here we are a little closer. I mean, you can tell it just shined up very, very, very nicely. I'm thoroughly impressed. So, you know, still got a little cleaning up to do on the back, but you know, these other parts, oh, they look great. They look great. There's the side with the numbers on it. And even the, I don't know if this is the cross slide or the compound one. Oh, the compound. The cross slide's still on the lathe. But I mean, you can see the 0 mark pretty plain. Looks very, very good. The knurling's cleaned up really, really well. It all looks pretty good. I love that little brush looking finish on there too. So, alrighty, so let's continue on. I'm gonna stick it together, mark what needs to be painted, and I'm gonna start taping off. So I'll bring you back when I'm got it taped. All right. So this first part we have here is the part that mounts onto the saddle. Get some tape off here. Just gonna cut me a strip off. And it goes right around this edge here. And this is the guide, the 0 mark on the cross slide where the compound angle goes. So I'm just gonna wrap it around here. Really don't care how it looks exactly right now, because I'm gonna trim it up with a razor knife. It's not a perfect circle, but it's pretty close. So we want it down. I shouldn't say circle. There's some unevenness right in here where the casting goes up. So what we'll do is we'll take the razor knife, and at first I'm gonna use the back side, and I'm just gonna kind of follow that contour. And then once I get it all stuck in there, I'm gonna take the front of the razor knife and cut it to match that casting. And then I pull off the remainder. And then we have a good clean line. We have a good clean line where that goes. Yep, there we go. And then I'll do the same thing on the other side. It raises up just slightly. I have to go get another razor blade. This one's just a wee bit dull. You got to have a sharp, sharp, sharp knife. So, there you go. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera, but you can see where it raises up. It's it's flat here and here, but on the side right here, this casting, it bows up. It's got a little hump in it right here. So that's all I'm doing is getting that hump taped off really good, just so it looks right. And then around here, we'll just continue the tape all the way around. Again, I'll use the back of my knife. It's dull back there, and all I'm doing is pressing that into that crease. It's just to make a real nice crease. And then once I get all that in there nice and pretty, I'll take the front of the knife and I'll cut it away. I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut it right here. And we'll just add another piece onto it there. Then I'll take my knife and I'll just follow that crease all the way around. All the way around. And then I'll peel that off. And now I have a very, very sharp line. I'll have a nice paint line right there. So let me go around to the other side, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to push it in with the back side of the razor knife. It's pretty flat back there. It's not going to cut much. And then once I get it all in there, I'll come back around, and I'll take it with the other side, the sharp side, and follow that crease. Of course, it falls off right there, so it's pretty flat. You got to find it, and then you're going to have to draw an imaginary line between the two. Of course, it probably help to have my glasses on better. There we go. There we go. So nice sharp line. Then we'll take another piece of tape, enough to finish that out. And this is one place I didn't skimp. I went ahead and got 3M tape. You could have went to the Harbor Freight and got their cheap tape, but for the money, I think this 3M tape works pretty good. It's fairly cheap. I mean, I just don't trust some of that stuff at Harbor Freight. Some of the stuff's good. Got an impact screwdriver today. I had a tough straight-headed screw that I couldn't get out, so I've been soaking it with PB Blaster. Went and bought that little $8 thing, because that's one thing I don't own. And it came right out. Whacked it one time with a hammer, and out she came. So, I reckon some tools, they all have their place. So, there we go. Flip back over here. finish out this line right here. There we go. Peel that up. There we go. So that top part is ready to be painted. So we'll fold all this over just so it's out of the way, because I got to tape the bottom, at least the edge here. This edge here where it slides, you know, we'll take that off just so it's not so bad. And all I do here is I lay a piece on either side, and I'm just going to trim it. It's a bunch of masking and trimming, masking and trimming. Anybody who's ever painted anything, you know, it's not the most glamorous thing you got to do. But man, this part right here, if you don't do this part right, it just doesn't look right. So you might as well take just a little time. It doesn't take long. You know, I don't need to trim it there. And you just trim it off nice and square. All the surfaces that are going to be painted. So you know, I find the crease line with the razor knife, and then I just cut it off nice and square. You need to bring a trash can over here. I have a mess to sweep up. I want to try and get all this done. Like I said, my brother's coming tomorrow, and we're going to tackle some of that big heavy stuff tomorrow. Of course, most of this stuff here was pretty big and heavy too, I should say. So there we go. That's down real nice and good. And this razor knife has got a smooth edge right here. So what I'm going to do is just roll it down that edge. Make sure that edge is stuck really, really good. All right. Let's pick it up and do the other side. Ouch. It's heavy. Got a crease right there. And then get the other side. Oh, come on now. All I need is cut myself. Come on, there we go. Daggone it. I have to switch out blades here pretty quick. All right. And then we're going to go right down this edge here and trim out all the excess that we have on that edge. There must be a chip there. Oh no. Part of the casting changed here. So I'll tape it down. I'm just going to use a sharp edge as a knife on that one. Rub the front of the razor knife, there we go, on the corner, and let the casting cut it. It's a irregular shape right there. Alrighty. There we go. One piece prepped and ready to paint. That's where the split nut bolts to the bottom. And then it has a oil cup that mounts right there in the middle. Oh yeah. Well, why? But we'll get that all that stuff mounted up there too. What I did too, I don't know if you can see it here, on the split nut to know which end went where. I put a dimple mark on this side, and there's a matching dimple mark on the casting, so I know that it's going to go in this way like this. So we'll get all that done and put together, and we'll continue taping on, and then we'll get ready to paint. So no need to watch me do this. So we'll be back. Okie dokie. So all the parts are taped up and ready to paint, or I shouldn't say all the parts. The parts for the compound are taped up and ready to paint. I went ahead and laid them out where they're going to be, where they're going to dry. I got me an old paint can that I'm going to use as an easel, so I'll paint on it, rotate it around, and then I'll set it exactly where I want it to on the table for it to dry. When I get done with it, when I get done painting, I've learned this from spraying cabinets and all that in the past. As soon as you get done painting something, just leave, because you'll want to fidget with it and mess with it, and you usually end up ruining the paint job. So the best thing to do is when you're done, paint what you think you're gonna, or prepare what you think you're gonna paint at that time, paint it, and then just walk out. Just leave. I've been in here probably 4 hours or so messing with stuff, getting everything ready, and it's getting on, I don't know, it's probably 4 or 5 o'clock now. And it's about time to go inside. So I'm gonna paint this stuff, and then I'm just gonna walk out and be done with it. And hopefully it looks good in the morning. If not, we'll wire brush it off and start again. But through the years I've learned, you put it on and then don't mess with it. Paint does its thing. Let it level out, let it settle, let it cure, and then look at it. Then you can critique it. But if you critique it while it's wet, oh, you'll mess with it forever. So the best thing to do, just get it on there and leave. So that's what we're getting ready to do. I've got my paint. I've got my trusty old chip brush. I might get away from these safety glasses here and go get me a pair of good reading glasses so I can see a little better. These have bifocals in it, but it's had sparks and all that stuff thrown at it, so it's just plastic. So they're about gone. So let me get another pair of glasses. I'll bring you in closer so you can see, and we'll get this stuff painted. We'll get out of here and have a cold beer, and we'll come back tomorrow, take a look at it, and my brother should be here tomorrow, and we'll start taking big stuff off the lathe. So there'll be I'll make videos of that, and then I got to take a bunch of pictures because I have a feeling I didn't take enough pictures on this, and it might come back to bite me in the butt. So, we'll find out. So let me get you in closer. All right, I've got you in closer now. So I reckon we'll just figure out how we want to tackle this thing and just get at it. No need to be modest with it. You know what? I think I'm going to do anything that's on the bottom first. So we'll do that part right there. So I got my trusty old chip brush. And we're just going to lay it on there. It's cast iron, so definitely going to need the paint. It'll absorb the paint really good, and usually these leave such a good finish. So, and I'm thoroughly impressed with this armor, this anti-rust armor from Valspar. So far, I really like it. The covers that I've done looks really, really good. You can lay it on fairly thick. It doesn't run, or I haven't seen any run. And what I'm doing here, there's some casting pores in there, and I'm just dabbing down in there. I want that paint all up in there, and then I'll come back and I'll just, run a couple brush marks. It's a cheap chip brush. You're not going to get the best, but it does the job. And I was pretty impressed how self-leveling this was. Sounds like a neighbor shooting tannerite or something. That was a big boom, whatever it was. And then, we'll go ahead and paint this back part too. This is very smooth back here. I don't believe it was anything that another machine surface goes on. But, oh no, it's the back here. All right. Another hair. Get rid of that sucker. Really? All right. That's it. I believe we got it. So let me zoom you back out here. I think that's going to do it. Yep, that's enough. That one right there is going in the trash. I've had enough of it. So we'll break out a new chip brush. I've used this a couple times, so put the lid back on the paint, get myself cleaned up, go crack open a beer, and wait for this stuff to dry. So let's see, tomorrow, big stuff happening tomorrow. So we'll get all that filmed. You'll get to meet my brother. Like I said, he's a welder. He's an instructor at the local community college, so you'll get to see that. But he's a big guy too, so we're both going to be wearing out some muscles lifting some of this heavy stuff off of here. We're going to let this dry. So until then, see ya.